And we're live. So any questions about, first off, dropping someone after 2? Is that,
You said that in your orientation,
in the video?
in the video, yeah. After they don't come so many times, and
I flip-flop back and forth over that one.
and then you had in your orientation, because you had 151, 131,
Right.
and you had 110, and then I looked through all of your orientation,
Okay,
and
all right, I need to go through and clean that up.
Yeah.
so I was like, okay.
There was one question on the course entry assignment that I had to take it 4 times because I couldn't figure it out because it was about the attendance policy.
Yeah.
And the question was if so and so doesn't show up for as many days, this is what's going to happen to them. And one of the answers was they'll get an F, they'll get a G, they'll be dropped automatically, or they'll get an incomplete. And I couldn't figure that out because it wasn't in the syllabus.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Now I'm thinking about what the answer is. You end up getting, I think the answer on the quiz is you get G's for everything.
Yeah, it was a G. That's what the answer was.
Well, one was an F.
Yeah, the F
It
was
was for if you don't do all your assignment, and like the question was, if you miss 4 of them, you didn't do 4 of them.
Oh, that was part of the lab, that if
Yeah,
there's
part of the lab.
8 questions.
That was kind of confusing there too.
Yeah. It basically, I got tired of students, well, doing half an assignment and handing it in. So on the lab, there'd be 8 analysis questions, and they do 4 of them. And I'm thinking, yeah, numerically, because I originally, before I instituted the policy, the student do well enough on everything else, but not do 4 questions and get a higher grade than I think the student deserved for what came across like half-ass work. And I thought, that just doesn't seem right. And so I instituted the policy that you have to do a majority of the analysis questions, or it's an automatic F. That's where that started. And then I thought, well, all right, so someone does a majority of the analysis questions, but they don't do all the calculations they're supposed to do. All right, so let's throw that one in. And then I had some students hand in some assignments where they just basically put their name on it and threw it and handed it in. And I'm thinking, no, you got to put in some effort. Not even writing down the data that was directly measured in lab. It's and somebody said, hey, it's 4.3. You write down 4.3. Didn't even bother doing that. And I thought, that's just worse than not even doing it. Because that means you weren't even participating in the lab itself. So that's where that comes from.
I have a question.
Okay?
We in a group lab. All right. Say your calculations. We write down all the calculations are going to be the same. That's what you said. And if you're doing work and I get 4.1 and somebody get 4.2 and somebody get 4.0 and we come to agreement, we just gonna make it 4.0 because you're talking about cheating and plagiarism on there. And we doing labs, we doing it together. Now we could have all the calculations the same, but our analysis has to be different because everything has to be in your own words.
Right, that doesn't necessarily mean you have different conclusions. But first off, in terms of what needs to be the same for lab is that all the data, anything that's measured directly in the lab, that needs to be the same.
Okay.
Because if I drop a ball and I want to know how high it bounces up, you should all agree upon how high it bounced up.
Right.
And so that's what needs to be the same. In terms of calculations, those might differ depending upon where people round. So I do expect proper rounding, but you know, somebody could take it out to 2 decimal places, someone else takes it out to 3 decimal places, someone else takes it out to 4 decimal places, and at that point it starts to deviate. And so that doesn't have to be the same, but I expect them to be at least closer to each other. I mean, if somebody gets 4.25 and someone else gets 4.251, yeah, they probably did the exact same process.
Okay.
If someone gets 2.45 and someone else gets 3.7, there's at least one of those people has done something very strange. So calculations, anything that's calculated, I expect to be very similar.
Okay.
Where the issue is where people have the exact same results, but they have different data. Because somebody writes down a number wrong. And the calculations should be based upon the numbers that you have in your lab, not based upon the numbers someone else has in his or her
Okay.
lab. And then analysis questions. Again, I think in one of the videos I talk about it, I have no problem with people discussing it among themselves, or discussing it. It's
But
just
put it in your own words.
on words, yeah. All right. Other questions, comments, concerns?
How is lab gonna work if we only have 5 people, like the group labs?
Yeah, all right, so what's happened in the past is there's some labs where I would split you in a group of 2 and 3. There's some labs where it just makes more sense for all 5 of you to work together. And also in terms of lab, I think officially we have lab Tuesday, Thursday, and class on Wednesday, and class online. And what I'm viewing this is I've got 6 hours during the week, 2 hours Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to do with what I want. And so some of it will be class, some of it will be lab. I'm not sticking to, oh, it's Thursday, we have to do a lab. It's
Whenever it's
what makes
convenient.
sense to do right now.
Yeah, whenever it's convenient.
Right.
And, I have a question, I lost it. Oh, yes, on the syllabus, it said, or in one of the orientation videos, you said that there was 12 quizzes and 12 labs. Is that gonna be shrunk because our class is shrunk?
Oh, as in time-wise?
Yeah, because this is only half a class.
7 weeks.
I appreciate where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah.
Because like.
John, I talked the ideal or reality?
Well, you know,
Go
the
with it.
ideal would be probably like a quiz once a week or so, but.
The quizzes will happen when it makes sense. And so traditionally, when I'm done with a chapter, for instance, today we'll do chapter 13, and we're pretty sure that we'll finish it within the 2 hours. When we're done with the chapter, I'll go, at this point, all right, so the quiz, then we'll announce when the quiz is. And the quiz, for each chapter, there are certain problems that are assigned, and I will take 2 of the ones that are assigned, change the numbers, and that'll be the quiz. So, and there's also master sets. I just have the one for chapter 13 at this point, which is a separate one done at home that's handed in.
Okay.
So the number of quizzes, if I set it in one of those things, most likely it was an estimate or specific to that class.
And it was, I think it was posted on YouTube in 2017, so
Yeah.
probably way.
Nothing's
before-
changed since 2017, right?
I think, I wish nothing changed.
Yeah. More gray hair. That's the only thing that's changed. The number of quizzes will vary, and there's, even if I told you a number of quizzes that I expected there to be before the end of it, it probably will change. What I have noticed for the 8-week classes that I've done so far is that there end up being fewer quiz grades than there are for the full 16 weeks, just because of timing issues. You know, we'll get done what we can get done. In theory, so the ideal is it's not half a class, that anything that we don't do in class, you'll pick up from the online piece.
What day are we supposed to be online?
The syllabus says 7 days a week. Officially 2/3, so we got sort of a blessing and a curse here. The curse being it's done in half the time. The blessing is usually we got plenty of time in this course. And that there are a lot of places in the past, I guess the last 3 times I've taught this, where I've sort of dragged it out longer than I needed to. So this course has more time than material in the past. Downside, but you know, I haven't done it in the mini-mester, so we'll find out together how it ends up. You looking for more confidence there?
Yeah.
It will be a learning experience for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it will. You know, I have no say at all over the 8-week versus the 16-week, or 7.5-week versus 15-week. All right, any other questions, concerns, comments?
Well, as they say, you put what is you into it, what you get out of it.
Oh, by the way, I'm Dr. George Fox. Guess I should do the intro. Who am I? You leave the E up in there. The number in the syllabus should be correct. I think the extension is 3376. And then I can never remember the first 3. 757?
The extension.
That, I'm pretty sure that's the extension.
757-3376.
All right, 757?
Yes.
I did remember. My office is, from here, my office is
that's
right
your
through
phone
there.
number. Oh.
Sorry?
Oh, that's your phone number, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Oh, your mind reading skills off today. Okay,
You just
It's good to
started
know.
spewing numbers, I was like, what are you talking about?
I was randomly throwing numbers around. All right, so anyway, my office is right through there. So from here, so if you see me disappear into there, you got the ante room where we have equipment, and then if you hang a right, the former closet, that's now my office. If you need to get to my office and you're not walking through the classroom, when you come up the stairs, you've got the elevator right in front of you. If you take a right, you'll get to this room. If you take a left, just go down the hallway, down the next hallway, and the last door on the right. There's a big green dot on my door. It's the last one before the emergency exit. So. One thing I do need to do is send you out the office hours Zoom contact. During office hours, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I log into Zoom also, so you can access office hours that way. During office hours, if you want to see me face-to-face, I should be in my office, but then my door most likely will be closed. You know, that whole pandemic thing. So just knock on the door. If it's during office hours, you should knock, and if I don't answer, that probably means I've just gone to the bathroom or some emergency has come up. Or both. I've gotten pretty decent about replying within 24 hours if you send me an email, so there's that too. And the orientation bit, you've watched the videos, no doubt. The best videos you've ever seen, just incredibly. The special effects budget was incredible.
What's your editing software?
For a lot of the orientation videos, the editing software was one take, using whatever was on the computer I happened to have at that time. And now, for the more sophisticated ones, one where you can actually see that I did some editing, or had some pop-ups, that Power Director is what I use. Power Director. Class videos are usually just raw footage from here to YouTube. So what I'm filming right now will eventually show up on YouTube. Probably today. But we'll see if technology cooperates. All right. I was about to start with chapter 13 here. Any Other questions before we start doing content? All right. Let me find out what you know. What does this mean to you?
Force equals minus kinetic.
That's the, force equals the spring constant of the change of x.
Okay, so, all right, I think you both agreed that was force. What is this?
Change
Change.
in distance, change in x.
Okay. You said change in something else before, you said change in x.
Change in distance, like over distance.
Not quite.
Displacement.
Yeah, this whole thing is called displacement.
Displacement.
So if this whole thing is displacement, what is x? Just the x by itself.
Distance.
The trouble is, distance is a scalar. And this is, first, how do you know this is not a scalar? Or what do I mean by scalar?
It's got a direction,
It's a direction.
And how do you know there's a direction here?
a little arrow above it.
Okay, so the little arrow above it is indicating we're talking about a vector, so direction does matter. Distance is a scalar, so distance is not here. And there's another reason physically why distance is not the key thing here. What is displacement? I do recognize that it's been a year
Yeah.
Yeah.
since you've had this, as well as, you had Miss Sossin, all of you had Miss Sossin? All right, that we have slightly different notation at this point, so this is part of what I'm trying to figure out. My question of what is displacement, I just got a lot of stares. I guess I'm gonna continue, just get stares.
I don't know how to explain it, but I know like when you put a boat in like water, and the water rises because the water's been displaced. I don't know how to put that in like the definition.
Yeah, that seems to be sort of although you could connect it to this, because there is a change in something there. Typically, in terms of terminology, that's slightly different use of displacement, although it is connected.
Change.
Position.
Change in what?
Position.
Yeah, change in position. So this delta, the x, just the x part is position. All right, so let's go to, that's the word position, despite the way it looks. That's closer.
Positron.
I will say, when I taught elementary school, I did make sure I wrote very neatly. And then when I stopped teaching elementary school, I thought, oh, I don't have to write that neatly anymore, and then you get that. So, I probably should write the way I used to. All right, so, what is position?
A point in space.
A little bit more than that. What is your position right now?
Non-changing.
Really? Okay.
It's always.
Then what is my position? If yours is not changing, what's my position? Just,
Slightly to the right of me.
Is a position is a certain area that you at. Is a certain point.
they're still looking for more than that, and John touched on it, but I don't know if you realize what you said.
Can you elaborate, please, when you say that?
Well, if you want to dot a line, if you had a line, you have a certain point.
All right, so,
And that is a position.
so how would you describe that position?
Would it depend on how
Well,
specific?
all
you
depends.
want?
All right, sorry, there are two voices at once, and my days of differentiating in my head, gone. So Selena, you were saying,
Would it depend on how specific you want the position to be?
meaning,
Well, I mean, I can say that I'm in Winston-Salem because I am in Winston-Salem, or I can say that I am at Forsyth Tech, which is also accurate. So
Ah.
it depends on how specific you want your position to be.
let's assume you want as specific as possible.
All depends what the vector is at that position.
I apologize, having a dog with issues, and my wife took them to the vet as I came here. Okay. Mixed news, but overall upbeat. And I apologize, I tend not to do that in class, and I know it was rude of me, I apologize. So let's just specifically, let's just talk about our universe as the line here. And going back to what Ronald was saying, you got a point on the line, how would you describe the position?
With directions.
Okay, what direction would you give it?
That's linear.
Like,
So-
I think it depends on where the reference is.
That is the key. Because earlier when you said where I was, you said, well, just basically to the right of me or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the reference. So position is where an object is, or the location, relative to,
Something else.
I generally just say relative to zero. You define where zero is, and that defines your coordinate system. So. Zero in quotation marks, I mean, it could be 0, 0, it's, you have some origin that you're defining. So in order to define this position, you have to define an origin somewhere. And now I can go, oh, it's to the right, whatever that distance is. All right, so displacement deals with change in position. Now this particular equation right here says that the force is somehow related